then I'm going to go out and I'm going to be remembered. And I'm going to do one last thing for my country. I'm going to kill me some more Muslims.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. اليوم إن شاء الله نحضر لقاء لأحد الأخوة الأمريكان، الحمد لله هو مسلم الحين، كان يحارب في أفغانستان، يبي ينقل التجربة حقته. طبعا ما شاء الله مسلم له 6 سنوات، وهو كان يكره المسلمين، يعني حتى من كلامه يقول ودي لما أشوف مسلم ودي أذبحه، يعني أقتل كل مسلم قضى عليه. فاليوم بنشوف قصة حياته لما يعني تحول للإسلام، وكيف يعني حتى أثر في زوجته وبنته، والحين كل العائلة مسلم ما شاء الله تبارك الله. ونترككم على القصة.
So they came in and started telling me about my retirement and how I was going to get this and how I was going to get that. And I said, no. You need to stop talking. That's not the right language we're talking right here. I have to go back. They said, go back where? I said, Afghanistan, Iraq. I don't care. I need to kill more Muslims. That's what I told them. I need to kill more Muslims. I'm not done. Because now my hatred had manifested to a point to where my life meant nothing unless I was taking the life of a Muslim. Now, I can't exactly put a finger on when this hatred began. I really don't know. It wasn't actually necessarily 9/11. All I knew was that somebody had killed a lot of Americans, a lot of innocent Americans. But as I started to get out of the military, because it slowed down for me at the end, I came back. I was given this new job, public relations, traveled all over the state of Indiana, drinking a half gallon of vodka every 2 or 3 days. So I said to myself, if this is how I'm going out, then I'm going to go out and I'm going to be remembered. And I'm going to do one last thing for my country. I'm going to kill me some more Muslims. And I'm going to do it here in America. Before we had the Islamic Center that basically was where the Muslim masjid or mosque, Islamic Center, it's where the Muslims went to pray. I scouted that position out. Didn't do anything though. Too much collateral damage. Too many Americans would have gotten hurt. Not knowing that a big portion of the people in that building were actually Americans. Well, then they moved. Perfect opportunity. Scouted the place out. But I started gathering materials that I needed and started putting this together. I was patient. No one else knew. My wife didn't know. We lived in the same house. Because this was mine. I didn't want anybody else involved. I didn't want anybody else to pay for this because I knew I would end up getting caught. Criminal sciences now are amazing. You don't get away with stuff that easily anymore. I knew I'd be caught. I didn't care. Because like stealing that guy's flag, I would get my day in court. And I would be able to say, I did one last thing for my country. Before you put that needle in my arm, I did one last thing. And I'm proud of that. Something crazy happened. My daughter goes to Yorktown School. When she was in the 1st grade, she come home talking about this young boy whose mom came to pick him up. She had on all that Muslim garb and the headdress and the long dress, and that's when it got me. Because as I'm ranting and raving about how I don't want my child around those people, you hear that before, right? Those people. She looks at me like I'm crazy. For the first time in my life, a light bulb went on. And I said, hold on a second. Yes, I hate these people. And living in middle America, in Indiana, they look funny. They talk funny. They pray funny. They're terrorists, every one of them. So as I stopped myself, because I didn't want to teach my daughter this prejudice. If she becomes this prejudiced and hates these people, that's on her, not from me. This is mine. I was so afraid to let this hatred go, I believed it was actually another organ inside my body. You can't lose a liver, you'll die. I was afraid I was going to lose this hatred, because if I did, I would die, because there would be nothing left for me to exist for. Nothing. I would now be on the face of this earth for absolutely no reason, except at that point to drink and waste what little bit of time I had left. So I got the courage up. I decided, without telling anybody, to actually go to the Islamic Center on a Friday, because I knew everybody would be there on a Friday. And I knew that's when their service was. So I walk in, it was early, because I've always been one that on time is late to me. So I'm early. And I walk in, look in at the wall, staring in front of me, there was a bazillion clocks. I'm like, these guys have trouble telling time? What's up? All these different clocks. And I look over, real tall African American guy. Bent over, taking off his shoes. There's a little shoe room off to the left there. He looks at me and he smiles. He said, can I help you? So I want to learn about Islam. He said, okay, you got a few minutes? I said, I got a couple hours. He says, well, good. He said, we're getting ready to have our Juma service. It's our Friday service, our Friday prayer. I said, yeah, I know. He said, well, I'm going to give you some pamphlets. We'll go back here and sit you down on a bench, and, after the service, somebody talk to you. All right. So he hands me these pamphlets, and there are different things, different subjects, all pertaining to Islam, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what a bunch of propaganda this is. Islam's a religion of peace. Psh, whatever. Islam's against terrorism. Not according to Fox News. Then the service starts. And I'm looking around, and all the room's packed. And all around, sitting on the floor. I started breaking out in a cold sweat going, oh man. I am in a room with nothing but Muslims. I started thinking about how they was going to see me on Al Jazeera tonight with a sword to my throat or something. Silly. Just silly thoughts, man. Because that's what I knew. Because that's what I'd been told. I hadn't yet identified what the real lies and the real truth was yet. So after the service, another African American gentleman about closer to my age, sat and talked to me. Asked me if I've ever read the Quran. I'm like, nah, why would I do that? Of course, I had never told anybody what I had planned at this point. I had never told anybody that I truly hated everyone in this room. I hated everyone in this building. If I had a bomb vest on me right now, I might just go ahead and set it off. Because I didn't care to die. And then another man come in. an older man, who I found out later to be a doctor. And again, I'm sitting on a couch in another room now. And this older man comes down, he sits on the floor at my feet, and hugs my leg and cries. Not knowing that I hated him, but he cried just because he was trying to show me his love for Islam. I thought about it for a minute, and I was like, well, you know what? Maybe there's something to this. Maybe I got the wrong message. Let's investigate. Let's read. Let's ask questions. Let's turn off Fox News and try to come up with what the truth may actually be. So I did. And it wasn't very long after that, very long, that I myself became a Muslim. To this day, I am still so glad that I was at the point of blowing up this building with everybody inside, because it was being at that point that brought me to this point. Life is the test. But now, I've been a Muslim for 6 years. My wife and daughter are currently Muslims. If I would not have changed, I would be in prison. I would die having hatred guide my life. And I would have been the one now to take the innocent lives. Because nobody over at that Islamic center was hurting anybody. Nobody was planning on hurting anybody. They were going there to pray. They were going there to listen to someone talk about things in the Quran and try to explain them to the best of their ability. That's it. So who's the bigger terrorist? The ones that flew the planes into the building? Or me? That's a question I had wrestled with for quite a while, because I had put myself in position to be the very thing that I hated the most. A person willing to kill innocent people because of their twisted sense of an idea. Their twisted sense of a faith. That makes me no different than the ones that flew the planes into the Twin Towers that morning. None. 25 years in the military, all over the world. There is things I've done and places I have been I will never ever talk about. This is the way that we are directed to live our lives, or as close to as we possibly can.